original pirate style. Kiss 100.
The Drum and Bass Show with Fabio, 12 to 2 on Kiss. It's the Jazz Step on Kiss 100. Keep it locked.
Many thanks to Bobby and Steve. Another 2 hours of scintillating house music, and heard they tore up Ibiza. Good to hear that. It's Fabio back once again. 12 till 2, the sessions. Kicking off with a little thing of a man called Pesce, Untitled, coming out on Metalheadz. Big respects going out to Pesce. Right, a lot of new stuff to play as per usual. Few world exclusives. Gonna be telling you what's been going on in the past week or so. Giving you an extensive gig guide. And of course the very best in music. At 1 o'clock through till 2, the Jazz Step. Rolling on the one, Kiss. Gotta say a big hello to Steve and Jason back from their excursions in Ibiza after their all-conquering mission. And special guest with me today, Subject 13, who've been threatening for a long time to come in the studio and see how things run, and they're here. So this is how we do until 2 o'clock Friday nights.
Now that's what I call 100% music.
Right, something now on Prototype Records. This has been around for a little while. Sending this one out to Lemon D, the man. Not forgetting Groove Rider, of course, Prototypes. Groove Rider's label, his own imprint, and he's got some stormers coming up. I'd like to say hello also to the Doc Scotts. Some fresh pressure coming up from Doc Scott later on. Also new stuff from Universal. Easy Rollers, Subject 13. Intense. Wax Doctor. It's all good.
You're in tune to Fabio with the purest drum and bass selection on Kiss. Fabio on Kiss 100 FM, the purest in drum and bass.
Line. That's how I like it. Sounds of Lemon D on Prototype. Still untitled. Out in the streets very, very soon. Gotta say a big, big, big hello to my cousin Sharon. Yes. And friend. No doubt. Also a big hello going out to my sister Judy. Respect for the jingles, girl. My sister Judy, my niece Chanel. Also respects going out to the family. Jazz Step up at 1 o'clock. Got some killers for you. Also saying a big hello to Justin from DJ Recordings, and remember, Out on the Streets, Promised Land 2. We can catch myself featuring Cleveland Watkins on the mic. Some CD business, you can catch that on vinyl as well. That's Promised Land Volume 2.
Stamina. Nobody can funk for longer. Nobody.
For the first half an hour, playing you stuff on TP. Or tracks with imminent release dates. Another thing that's been floating around for a little while, the sounds of Wax Doctor. And a track entitled Offshore Drift. Gotta say hello to all the Jazz Cartel. And that includes PIM, Pulse, Professor Stretch, Alex Reese, Wax Doctor. And it's been a busy week. I've been on a non-stop run for about the last month or so. Last week, I've got to say hello to everyone down there in Dublin. A really lovely, lovely place, lovely people. And me and the Groove Rider played in a little club called The Kitchen. Small place that fits about 400 people, but the vibe in there was something else. Anyway, back to the music. Enough talking later on. Ad break up after this. Offshore Drift, Wax Doctor. The lovely sounds of Wax Doctor. Offshore Drift. Gotta send respects going out to the Groove Rider. Played a superb set last night down at Tempo. The Thursday night spot down there opposite Astoria. That's how we're gonna do every week on a Thursday night from 10 till 12:30. A rider rolled it. Also a big respect going out to everyone that went down to Leisure Lounge last Saturday. Absolutely jammed in there. Mad session, mad session. Respects going out to Goldie, everyone involved in the Metalheads crew. Not forgetting Meredith. And everyone doing the hard works. But as I commented many times before, the music is ever progressing. And you know, the press, nobody's going to hold us down right now because we're on a mission, trust me. And I said many times before, you know, do not listen to what the media's trying to dictate to everybody, because as long as it's rolling, it's all good. Right, time to go for the ad break. Back after this. Right, I've got to say a little thing about this football right now, because I've got some gooners in the studio, man. And, yeah, well, you know, Arsenal, what can I say? I can't really say nothing. Second in the table, doing all right, but what goes around... you know, Tottenham, man, had to say that, really, innit, really. But Tottenham's going to come through, you know. We've got faith, you know, and you watch by the end of the year. That's right, Teddy's back. Anderton's going to come in soon. Armstrong's coming in. What can I say? Wayne's not coming anywhere, mate. he's at AC Milan making some big bucks, man. He's not coming to coal England, trust me. Anyway, back to the music. This is DJ Pulse remix on MCA Records. A track entitled 2 Wiki. Sending this one out to all the Groove Connection crew. Special hello going out to Ray Keith. Not forgetting the Brian G, the Jumping Jack Frost, Chemistry and Storm, the mighty Groove Rider, Mickey Finn, Katie holding the fort. We're rolling on Kiss. DJ Pulse on the mix. A track entitled To Wiki on MCA Records. Right, we've got competitions coming up soon. We've got a gig guide. Not forgetting the very, very best in drum and bass. And remember, next week in the chair will be the mighty Groove Rider. That's how we do, alternating, giving you the whole spectrum.
Now that's what I call 100% music. Music.
Sending this one out to Damien and Zoe and all the crew down there at the excellent PM Scientists. If you've never checked that out on a Wednesday, small, intimate and rolling. Also sending respects out to the Innermost crew. The Interactive Massive. Mark Gilmore, DJ LaRouge. The mighty Cleveland Watkis. Talvin Singh. Innermost going live this year. Watch out for them in 97. Taking it to the bridge. Also sending a big respect to all the cab drivers down there over on Brixton Hill. Yeah. And I'm sure I've told you about the miracle cab driver, the man who can eat a cream cracker without touching it. He just chomps it down, mate. Hardcore. That guy's crazy. Anyway, this is the sounds of Pablo. Getting you on the jazz roll. Sending this one out to Danny Bookham.
Music.
TP Pressure, Sander Pablo. And a track entitled Do What You Gotta Do. Alright, competition time, running it nice and early tonight. Next week, Saturday, at the Island Music Arena in Ilford, Jungle Mania presents Jungle Mania. From 10:30 till 7 a.m. In the main room, you've got DJs like Hype, Randall, Andy C, Mickey Finn, Brocky, DJ Ash, and DJ Swift, plus a live PA by Shy Effects. MCs on the night will be Fearless, Stevie Hyper, Skibber D, and in the garage room, JC, Jazzy D, and Mikey B. Advance tickets are priced at £9, but if you want to win free pair of tickets, the first 2 people to ring in will win tickets to Jungle Mania next week, Saturday, at the Music Arena in Ilford. Big hello going out to Funky and Sinead and everyone involved with Elevation and Innovation. Watch out for Innovation coming D&B style soon. Right, time for the ad breaks. Back after this with something from the Q Project. Yeah, well, I just lost myself for a second then. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is a track entitled Mars. This is Total Science. Check this out, different business. Sending this one out to Spinback. Also, Quiff. And not even forgetting Graham, ex-Oxford Hardcore. Where are you, Graham? Long time no see. Also sending a big shout out to Roger Johnson and everyone down there at Celluloid Records. Thanks for the TP. Remember, it's Fabio, it's Kiss. We got the Jazz Step coming up soon.
for longer. Nobody.
Some aquatic beats. Total Science in a track entitled Mars. Love the break on that too. Right, going to tell you about something a little different. Club Sub-Bass. And if you haven't heard about that, it's a special under-18s night down there at the Searchlight, Kingston Road, New Malden, Surrey. Totally clean, totally safe. And the next event is Saturday the 26th of October. And DJs on the night will be Physics, Hot Rock, Nicky Black Market, Brocky, The Subject 13. On the mic will be Stevie Hyper D and the DTMC. And that's down there in Kingston. And if you want to bring your kids, safe environment, everyone's looked after. Doing something, bringing it back to the community. There's a special thanks and respects going out to Subject 13 for that. That's Club Sub-Bass at the Searchlight, Kingston Road, New Malden, Surrey, the 26th of October. Remember, it's KISS. This is how we do every Friday, the sessions. Giving you the very best in drum and bass. Spreading near and far, covering the whole spectrum.
Original pirate style. KISS 100.
sound of Matrix. And a track entitled Slow Drift. Sending that one out to SS. And the rest of the crew down there in Leicester. Bringing some excellent tunes out. Not forgetting Idris. And everyone that works for Formation Records. Right, time for another pause for a cause. Straight back. Remember, it's Kiss 100.
To soothe your mind. Fabio on Kiss 100 FM, the purest in drum and bass.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sounds of Intense. And that's an Aqua Sky remix. And that's going to be in your shops very soon. Big hello going out to the guys, Dan, Bo, Simon, the whole crew. Rolling every time. We're coming up fast, approaching the jazz step, as we do from 1 till 2 every week. And someone was asking me, is this music in danger of being watered down by the big record companies? Well, you know what, at the end of the day, you just gotta keep it real. That's all that matters. You know, if you sell out, you sell your soul, and that's the bottom line. And this music, there's too much people that have worked too hard over the years to sell it down the river. It's going to remain underground, trust me. Right, last one before the jazz step. Sending this one out to all the Ipswich crew. Danny C, Rob from Origination, Paul Certificate 18, Michael Myers, Photech. And not forgetting a big respect going out to Source Direct, J Magic. Not forgetting the mighty Dillinger, Carlito, Adam F, Big Bud. Subject 13, DJ Pulse, the Jazz Cartel. All keeping it real, keeping it underground. And if you thought it blew up this year, watch out in 97.
Brace yourself.
for the jazz step.
for your body. The sound of Big Bud. Forthcoming creative source of inspiration. Sending that one out to Budge and all the crew down there in Southampton. All the South Coast Massive, should I say. Excellent, excellent tune. Right, we're going to play the next ad breaks back after that with some jazz style.
Jazz style.
Got their money, put it in the cat.
Baruch, this is called meditation.
jazz.
Mighty sounds of Subject 13. What a roller, jazz style. And that tune's gonna blow up big. Sending that one out to the Groove Rider. Also a special request.
Jazz style.
Big shout going out to Karina.
Jazz style.
If you want to hear the vibe like this, Tempo Thursday.
Jazz. Jazz style. Jazz style.
Now
Jazz
that's
style.
what I call 100% music. Music.
Do you remember every Thursday, the Tempo? Special guests. Me and the Groove Rider. Plus the likes of Subject 13, Loxy, Doc Scott, Chemistry and Storm. We're rolling with a new agenda. Also, don't forget the Leisure Lounge each and every Saturday. I said the first night was absolutely... It was jammed. And it was absolutely tearing in there. Respects going out to the G Money. That's the Leisure Lounge down there in Holborn. DJs featuring on that, the Groove Rider, Randall, Jumping Jack Frost. Not forgetting the Doc Scotts. Rolling on the jazz step until 2. Groove Rider up next week. Remember that.
Something about us compels us to learn, explore.
mighty sounds of Wax Doctor. That is an exclusive remix of Acid Land. Rolling. It's Fabio, it's Kiss, it's the Jazz Step, it's all good. Sending that one out to the Sarah Sandy. Yeah.
Kiss 100% stamina. Nobody can funk for longer. Nobody.
Here's another tune blowing up big. Sound of Alex Reese. Coming with some urban techno isms. Send a big hello going out to Justin. DJ Recordings, Promised Land. It's Kiss. The mighty sounds of Alex Reese, never to be released. Also tomorrow night, The Promised Land returns. And of course that's at The End, a superb nightclub. Between 11 and 6 o'clock tomorrow. DJs on the night will be Groove Rider, PFM, Pache, Mr. C and Slip Master J. That's The Promised Land. At The End, tomorrow night. And that should be nice. Sending this one out to Cleveland because I know he's in this thing. This is Flytronics remix on a track called Destiny. Respects going out to Flytronics, Hyper and Experience, JMJ and Richie. Also sending respects going out to Digital. I know you're listening. And as the saying goes, things can only get better. You know it. It's Fabio. It's Kiss. It's the Jazz Step. Till 2. Getting some joke in it. Trust me. If you could only hear what we was talking about. Just killing it. Santa Flytronics. Big tune around town at the moment. We're coming up to the long-awaited last ad break. Taking a long time to come around. It's time's now. respects going out to Pete Parsons, Tamsin. So gotta say hello to Vicky. Not forgetting Emma. Big shout out to my driver Greg. Coming to a close very soon. Time's flown by tonight.
Original pirate style. Kiss 100.
And do remember, each and every Wednesday, we have more sessions, drum and bass, jungle. Between 9 and 11. DJs include Hype,
Vindication,
Kenny Ken, LTJ Booker, Jumping Jack Frost, and the Randall. That's 9 to 11 each and every Wednesday. And I think this Wednesday you've got the Kenny Ken. Big shout out going out to Kenny, one of the nicest guys on the whole scene. Not forgetting a shout going out to ex-Top Buzz Jason, DJ Fantasy, Mikey and Patrick. Also a shout going out to Reinforced Records, Gus, Digo and Mark.
vindication, vindication.